Caution. This is a public service announcement. Anything mentioned about anyone or any specific thing is alleged and must be proven true. Take heed of these statements on your own accord. Thank you for listening.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It is your boy ROD back and in the audio. I would say flesh, but this is not flesh, obviously. It's flesh for me, but it's not flesh for y'all. But we are definitely back, y'all. Back with another episode. It has been a very long time since I see you guys. February 28th was the last time I dropped the episode. And I did say last time that I am going to try to be more consistent. And obviously, that was not what happened. So please, just bear with me, y'all. Honestly, truly, I probably need somebody to smack me upside my head every week and tell me to record an episode. But yeah, it's hard, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. The lazy spirit is upon me. Procrastination spirit is upon me. I do think that I have maybe a little touch of ADHD, or I could just be lazy. I don't know. I don't think I'm lazy because I feel like once it starts, it goes. But, whatever. Anyways, this is another episode of Rod Watched It, episode 4. A lot has happened since the last time. So, with that being said, how you been? How you been? There's been a few things that done happened since then. Sinners swept in my book, but I don't know about everybody else's book, but they swept in mine. One battle after another, won a couple things. Frankenstein, big year for horror. I'm not even gonna lie to you. As a horror fan, that definitely actually was very exciting that we had this big year in horror. That was very exciting to the kid. I just felt like the Oscars were what the Oscars were supposed to be, and everybody who deserved walked away with something. I was actually telling my best friend the other day that one battle after another and Sinners, they kind of had to divide the bigger awards between those two. And if you think about it, Sinners kind of won the better awards. It won Best Original Score, Best Cinematography, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Actor. I'm not gonna lie, unfortunately, that's a sweep in my book. Like when you sweep like that to an extent, that's a sweep. Now, one battle after another did win some great things. They won Best Casting Director, Best Picture, which is the biggest award of all time. So they kind of ate with that one. Now, I'm not gonna lie, they ate that up. But nonetheless, we Sinners still walked away. We still walked away with something, chat. So I'm just thankful for that. I have watched a few movies that I would love to talk about, and I'm going to talk about, and those movies are going to be told throughout this episode. Y'all know I don't tell y'all which movies I'm gonna tell y'all about before the episode start. I'm not even gonna lie. Y'all gotta go through the episode and figure it out. Y'all know that. Y'all know y'all have to go through the episode and figure it out. So with that being said, let's get into this episode. The first movie that I want to talk about this episode is none other than the I would say beloved, but at this point, I don't even think it's beloved anymore. Scream 7. Now, Scream is one of my favorite franchises of all times. I love the Scream franchise. I have conversations with people and they tell me, oh, Scream got bad after Scream 7 or I mean Scream 4 or Scream 5 was shit. Scream 3. I feel like Scream as a franchise is the only movie where it can get away with having the occasional bad movie. However, I don't think that Scream has too many bad movies. And because I don't think that Scream has too many bad movies, it really does hurt my heart to say that this movie was ass, big old booty, doing the literally doing the butt. That shit was so ass. It was actually crazy. And it's sad because I am a fan of movies being super Gen Z nowadays. I like that niche. I love the niche that movies are super duper Gen Z nowadays. That's so cool to me. Like, I Know What You Did Last Summer was probably one of my favorite releases last year because of how fucking Gen Z it was. How in the moment it was. And that's the thing about horror movies that I feel like people don't realize anymore. A lot of horror movies are supposed to be made for the time, especially movies like that where it's like a serial slasher killer. A lot of those movies are supposed to be made for that time. So to sit there and try to judge these horror movies with this big old target on his back as if the movies during the 90s, which kind of started this whole slasher craze, weren't looked at as fucking shitty movies, it's crazy. It's crazy to me. And I think that we kind of putting too much on some of the Gen Z actors and some of these filmmakers. I'm not gonna say put too much, but that aspect of film, I don't think that we need to try to chastise them for making film fun for them. Because in the 90s, that shit was fun for them. All right. But with that being said, Scream 7 was horrible. I do think that they tried to basically base this entire movie on the premise of nostalgia, but Scream itself is already fucking nostalgic though, because each killer is connected to a previous fucking killer or to Sydney somehow. So it's like no matter which way you flip it, this shit is going to be nostalgic. This shit is for the fans. So for them to try to pinpoint the cast to be the OGs from the other movies and try to make it like this reunion movie type of thing and have all these cameos and shit in there. I don't think that was gonna go well because this is a at this time in this country, AI is on the rise. Some people don't like AI. I don't like AI personally. I don't use AI for anything. Unless I'm like on Google and I'm Googling something and AI does the answer, which I have no control over. Shit like that. But I feel like the AI aspect of it didn't come across well. I also feel like the killer reveal was horrible. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was horrible. The killer, the killers don't have any connection to anybody for real. The movie is strictly based on nostalgia. They use Matthew Lillard and his face to push the idea that Stu Macher is back and that people should get in the theater to see Stu Macher. The only issue I have with that is if Stu Macher wasn't dead, y'all would have brought his ass back in 3, 4, 5, or 6. And we are not oblivious to that whatsoever. So for y'all to try to bring it back now in 7, it feels like a slap in the face. And the reason why it feels like a slap in the face was because y'all only did that to get money in the pockets of y'all self because y'all fired Melissa Barrera and got so much backlash for it. Y'all got so much backlash from firing that lady. Y'all had to rewrite the script, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want to say maybe $500,000 to rewrite the script just for the movie to still get be told off as if it was a fucking flop, which it is, in my personal opinion. It's a flop because it's not good. It's just not a good movie. The acting itself wasn't that bad. I'm not gonna lie to you about it. Well, I'm lying. The acting itself, who carried? Of course, my girl Nev Campbell carried. Of course, Courtney Cox carried. Who the fuck? Who didn't expect them to? But for the most part, I feel like everybody else is just the acting was fine. I mean, I guess it wasn't like too crazy. I guess how maybe I'm having a hard time talking about the acting because Scream movies once again, you don't judge Scream movies for the acting because they act how the time period is. In the 90s when we saw um Tatum get killed and she antagonized him, what the fuck? That's what they did then. So to me nowadays it's not too far off from acting. It's not too far off from acting like a normal fucking person. And I just spoke with somebody about how I feel like people don't do that nowadays. Sometimes they humanize too much of the character. They make the character too human instead of it being an actual character. And this movie, though, you don't have an issue with the characters being too human because most of the people in the movie are teenagers. So how do you expect teenagers to act when they see their friends getting killed every which way? You don't. It's not too much that they. It's not too much that they gonna essentially be saying or doing when their friends are getting killed left and fucking right. So yeah, the movie is all right. I'm not gonna say all right. It's a bad movie. I'm gonna give it like a 5, 6 out of 10. And that's really low for Scream movies for me. Maybe even a 4. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Really, really low. The killers are horrible. No connection for real. Made up reasons on why she became a killer because it is a she. I'm just gonna tell y'all. Made up reasons. Reason don't stick. Doesn't make any sense. It's like an obsessed fan, basically, was became the fucking killer. And it's like, you don't have the right. I feel like every other movie, somebody had the right. The first movie, it was Billy because Cindy's mom fucked his life up. The second movie, it was Billy's mom because you killed my fucking son. The third movie, it was Cindy's brother because my mom left me to deal and live her life with you. The fourth movie, it was Cindy's cousin. Why? Because she wanted to be the victim and have the life that Cindy wanted. The fifth movie, it was Billy's daughter, who was also connected to Cindy because Billy is her ex. The sixth movie, it was the family of, well, in the fifth movie, it wasn't the killer. The connection was Billy's daughter. By the way, let me clarify that. The sixth movie was the family members of the killers in the fifth movie. This movie does not have any connection to any other movie. And I feel like the reason why it's so thrown in, it feel like a sidestep. You know, it kind of feel like when the Halloween movies where they just threw a random Michael Myers movie in there and they jump right back into the whole Halloween canon like things again. This movie is kind of what that feels like. It's like a random sidestep movie, and they use Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox to and Stu Macher slash Matthew Lillard to try to pull us in again. And it just didn't work. It just didn't work. It didn't work because the movie is not good. Whoever rewrote that script did that shit maybe 24 to 36 hours because it just doesn't stick. It does not land, and it's just not good. And really, really though, the AI aspect of it really throws me for a fucking loop. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It really does throw me for a fucking loop. Because in the movie, don't want to tell you, but I'm gonna tell you. Sydney Daughter's boyfriend is the one doing the AI shit with Stu Macher's face. But Stu Macher is the person antagonizing and telling them that he's killing Sydney's daughter's friends. When Sydney daughter finds out that that her boyfriend is a person doing the AI face shit, he dies 5 minutes later. That would have been the perfect moment to reveal him as a killer. But no, y'all kill him 5 minutes later. Instead of just making him the killer and doing the whole going back to the original thing, that would have been a perfect ending. Oh my God, that would have been so good. That would have been so good. Imagine he is the killer. And the reason why he's doing this is because he wants Sydney's daughter to live and have the same experiences as the mom. He wants to be Billy Loomis part two, and he wants to make the daughter Sydney. That would have been a way better ending to that movie than it being the fucking neighbor. Mind you, the neighbor who was the killer, her son is the boyfriend. She killed her own son. It just doesn't, it would have been better if the mother and the son teamed up and was the killers than the mother and the fucking psychiatric at the hospital. You know what I'm saying? It would have just been, that would have been a better ending. That would have gagged the live. And the live is not gagging right now. The comments are not on your side. So, I don't know. I don't know, chat. I really don't know. I do know. Obviously, I do. We give it a 4.5. Don't watch it. If you're going to watch it illegally if you can, but don't watch it illegally. We're going to leave that flop in the past and we're going to go ahead and go on to the next movie for this episode, which is the movie Whistle. So this movie, it kind of reminds me of an early 2000s teen movie in the sense of they're trying to make their own stamp. So I think that there was a time in horror movies era 2000s or 2000s where they're trying to make their own stamp. So it was always like bikini, naked girls, that shit like that. You know, I feel like they're trying to bring that back to an extent. It's just it went well actually. This was a really good movie. This was not my pick to watch. This was my best friend's pick to watch. She said, let's watch this. So we decided to watch it, and it was actually really good enough for me to want to talk about it. So the movie is called Whistle. What the movie is about is a group of friends find this Aztec death whistle. And basically, what happens is once you blow the whistle, anybody in the area who hears the whistle, death starts to follow them. Death starts to follow them. And basically, what happens is the way that they would die at the age they die like that right now. So, for example, one person passed away and he was supposed to have died in a fire. So since he was supposed to have died in a fire, the way he died was his dead body came to him and basically killed him. That's the way that he died, from that way. And another example is one person was supposed to die from cancer, and his cancer ridden body came to him and choked him out and basically ruined his lungs. So when they found him and his body, the symptoms showed that he had had cancer for years, and he had not had cancer whatsoever at the time of his death. It had not even touched his body yet. So that's what the movie is about, right? And basically, the goal is to beat death, and you're killing yourself. So the goal is to beat death. That's what the goal is. I'm not gonna give the whole movie because that would just be me giving y'all a little too much sauce on this movie. I do think that y'all should go watch it. I do think that you guys will actually enjoy it. It's a great movie to watch with your friends if you're having a little drink, smoking a little joint, some things like that, simply because the kills are actually really crazy, really funny, little gory, but they're good kills. They're like kills that we haven't really, well, I haven't personally seen like that, because horror movies are all over the place sometimes, and there's nobody who has seen every horror movie. So sometimes you might miss a movie that has some shit that a movie that you're talking about got in it and you didn't know it. So that's an example of that. But I do think the movie is an example of Gen Z. You know what I mean? It's an example of a Gen Z movie. It doesn't really touch on crazy subjects, which I'm okay with. It's just there for pure entertainment. It doesn't leave like this crazy long lasting feeling of don't do this or don't do that. It's just like, oh, this is what happened, this is the story, etc. All right. I think my favorite thing about this movie is how the kills are executed, the thought process behind how the plot would unfold, and the thought process behind the whistle itself. Because the idea that one person blows this whistle, and just because we're all in the vicinity of each other, we all die from it. It's so crazy. Like, one girl, she dies from old age. And to an extent, I found it kind of beautiful that she died from old age, but it's just so crazy to me that her old age body was the body that killed her. Like, it literally chased her around and killed her. Crazy work. Crazy work. One dude, he's a drinker, heavy drinker, and one of the craziest parts of the movie, which really had me like, yeah, I will watch this again, is one of the guys from the friend group, he's a heavy drinker, and because he's a heavy drinker, he is always being told to stop drinking and driving, and that one day it's gonna kill him. And lo and behold, the way that he dies is a car accident, but it's not in the car. Like, since no one technically kills him and he dies in a car accident, and his body is so mangled in the car accident that his dead self can't come back and kill him, the car accident just happens while he's just standing there. So he's literally floats into the air, and everything that happens to him while in the car accident happens to him as he's just floating in the air in the middle of his room, which is honestly truly one of the craziest things that I think can happen. Is That's just an insane thing to see. Like, his parents were trying to bust down his door. By the time they get in, they see their son floating, bloody, mangled, and everything. And as a parent, what do you do? You know, there's nothing you can do, obviously, but it's like, what do you do? What do you say? When people say, how did your son pass away? Or when you sit there and think, how did your son pass away? There's always going to be the thought process that he died floating in the middle of his room, and we will never know why or how that happened. The kills in this movie were really, really good, and I feel like the thought process behind you killing yourself or your body coming back to kill itself, that thought process was really cool to see as well. So I feel like this is a nice movie to watch, quick little watch. It's not gonna take much. It's an easy, enjoyable movie. I would definitely rate it about maybe like a 7.9 out of 10, and that's actually pretty high that I would give any teen horror movie that's original and new. So, with that being said, please go watch Whistle. You will enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, make sure you recommend it to the next person as well. Right, and on to the next movie. This movie is Send Help. I actually enjoyed this movie as well. Definitely enjoyed this movie. It's a little long for what the movie is, though. Definitely could get. It's an hour and 52 minutes, damn near 2 hours. I feel like we could have did it in maybe an hour and 30, hour 40. Hour 40 would have been cool. Now, what's 11 minutes when it's watching a movie, right? Listen. Listen, when it's movies like this, sometimes it's okay to just get to the point. I feel like we prolonged them being on this island for too long. So let me preface it first, because y'all probably like, what the fuck? You ain't said shit to us about an island. You're right. I did it. So let me tell you. So basically what happens is Rachel McAdams plays this girl, this what's she say it called? Strategy and recovery, some shit like that. Yeah, she plays this lady who works at this company, and she's in their department of strategy and recovery, and basically her job is to literally strategize how to make more money, I believe. Anyways, Dylan O'Brien comes in. He's the CEO of this tech company that she works at, and he's hot shit, and he treats her like she's less than because she wear ugly shoes and got glasses and got a mole and her hair is dirty and she be smelling like fish because she be eating tuna at her desk and stuff like that. So, he looks at that kind of shit and he just really goes crazy because he got on his penny loafers and slacks and, satin shirt, shit like that, how rich men are or whatever. He invites her to this like getaway thing. It's really for work. But he invites her to it because she's a good worker, but he also is like a dickhead. So he invites her to it just to, fuck her over sometimes. Like fuck her over some little shit. While they're on the plane crashes. While they're on the plane, they're watching her not interview, audition for Survivor. Okay, for Survivor. And as the plane crashes, it's literally like the biggest fucking flag that like this plane is about to crash and this girl is gonna be the only way y'all can survive. So maybe you might want to be a little, nice to her. But him being the dickhead that he is, that's not what he decides to do. He still treats her as if he's her boss and they are both stranded on the island. So she kind of like leave him to like, fend for himself for like a half a day and he goes fucking insane. And he ends up coming around to understanding her and being nice to her and shit like that. Okay, cool. The dilemma comes in when she starts to enjoy herself stranded on the island a little too much. A little too much for his liking. She can make fire 3 different ways. Well, apparently, according to her video, it's only 3 ways to make fire from scratch, and she knows all 3 ways. She building huts. She getting food. She got knives. She getting fruit. She getting all this shit. She getting all this shit. She's literally living her best life on this island. And you thinking like, what the fuck? How is she doing this shit? What the fuck? This bitch really got it like that? And she does, but she doesn't. So basically what happens is him and her have this back and forth where he has to dumb herself down to get what he wants, and she doesn't have to dumb herself down no longer anymore, and she has what he wants. So the dynamic between them switched. And it's kind of cool to see because on a deeper thought process level, to see the dynamic switch is really cool. It's actually it's pretty crazy to see because she starts to say things to him that he has said to her throughout the entire movie, antagonizing him, making him mad, doing things to him. This man got to eat bugs because she's not feeding him. He got to fight for himself. So he got to eat bugs and shit. So when he comes around and she's having her little sushi and fruit, he basically like, damn, maybe I should, and that's what happens. She basically gets him to surrender what the fuck he really do feel like, uh, how he really feels about the situation. He basically has to surrender it to her beck and will and call because she's the only one that can feed the both of them. So boom. It reaches the climax when he tries to escape, fails. He poisons her. She throws the poison up. basically killed his morale at ever leaving because she was like, listen, this is how things gonna be, and if you can't take it, you're gonna have to take it. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, that's it, that's all. So you might as well just stop it. His wife, beautiful black woman, shows up to find him. Because she's not ready to leave that island, she kills the wife and the person who was looking for him. He finds his wife. He is now angry and he's chasing her. She's running. They have their little fight scene. He ends up very injured, and somehow, some way, he ends up at a house. And you thinking like, what the fuck? How this house just pop up out of nowhere? When no, the house has been there. They have been there for maybe 3 weeks to a month. The house has been there the entire time. All the fruit, food, and knife that she found, it was at the house. So when he was injured and couldn't go anywhere, she was basically searching and walking the whole island. And she found this house of a billionaire. This house is now the house that he found, and she has access to security because the billionaire's not there, and she done changed all the shit because she working, that type of field. So she didn't hack this man's security system, and now she's antagonizing the guy played by Dylan O'Brien. Anyways, they have a little fight again. She wins. She kills him. She becomes this real life survivor, murderer, killer, winner. And it's so crazy to see. It's crazy to see because when I got done watching the movie, I was really sitting there thinking like, was she the bad guy? Was she the bad guy? I don't know if I can consider her a bad guy because all she did was, well, no, she was the bad guy. We're not gonna sit here and lie to ourselves. She was the bad guy, but was she the worst guy? I don't think that there was a good guy. I think that there were two bad people who did bad things. But she just took it too fucking far by killing his wife, by killing the person that came to help his wife, and by making sure that they never get found in that boats, because they sent rescue teams to look for them, and she made sure she hid so that she would never be seen, that they would never be found. So I think that she overdid it. She overdid it, and she manipulated it. She manipulated the hierarchy that was there to do what she wanted to do. And what she wanted to do was stay on that island with the man who had antagonized the fuck out of her, aka her boss. So she wanted to be the boss on the island, and he being someone who throughout the movie he says this himself. Basically, he's somebody who gets up and does what needs to be done. She's someone who's okay with letting it come to her or figuring out when it's time. He is a go-getter essentially, right? So he's gonna go. He's trying to get off the island, but she's not. And it's kind of fucking up their dynamic because as they get comfortable with each other, she's expressing how she doesn't want to leave, and he's looking at her like, "Bitch, you're crazy. You're actually insane. So yeah, you need help, and I can help you here, and you can't help yourself here. So I'm gonna have to leave you here." So I think that, you know, their dynamic, the constant turn in their dynamic back and forth over and over and over and over again. There being the I'm this, you're that, no, I'm this and you're that. That whole aspect of it could have been cut shorter. Like I said before, that shit could have been cut shorter. I do feel like we could have gotten to the wife's part a little bit faster. I feel like they spent so much time building shit. It started to feel like that I was stuck on the island with them. And I don't know if that was the director's point or not, to make the movie just long enough to where people start to get irritated at the fact that they are on this island this long as well. Or if that's just how editing ended up being. But nonetheless, me personally, I started to get a little irritated that they was on this island this motherfucking long. And I'm just like, listen, what is going on? What's the end goal here? I was an hour in and I'm like, what's the end goal? I don't see the end goal here. But slowly but surely, it started to reveal itself. And truly, I'm gonna say the acting in this was I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna give it a 9. 8.5. I'm gonna give it 8.5. I'm gonna give it 8.5 because Rachel McAdams playing the crazy lady is amazing. It's amazing. We've seen her as mean bitch. We've seen her as lover girl. We've seen her in several roles, but playing the crazy but not crazy office girl stranded on the island with a narcissistic, misogynistic, fucking white rich man. She did a great job. She did a great job. And, you know, she tells a story about being abused by her husband. And when you look at the movie and you look how it unfolds, you don't even know if that's true, but the whole idea that the character itself was supposed to use domestic violence to pull on the heartstrings of the person who they're stuck on this island with to get them to understand why they are the way that they are, that's a genius move. That's a genius move from a manipulator. That is a genius move. It will work. But him being a manipulator himself, he knows the game. So that shit didn't work for him, which is why he poisoned her ass to try to get on the raft and go. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. The plot was okay. It just took too long to unfold the plot itself. The acting was good. It's only two actors and they both are very well established actors, so I don't think that the acting was ever gonna be, subpar. Dylan O'Brien actually is a very good, rich, white, narcissistic, misogynistic man. And I feel like that's not how he is in real life. So for him to have been doing that in the movie and playing it so well to the point where it was like, damn, maybe you deserve to not eat for a day. You know, maybe you deserve to not eat for a day because you being a dickhead with shit on this island. You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that. When I watched their interviews in for the press run of the movie, you could tell that that's not how he is in real life. So to see him act like that is like a shocker. So, good job, Dylan O'Brien. Good job. So with that being said, let's go watch Send Help. I would give it a 8.2, 8.3 out of 10. Like I said, my biggest issue with the movie is just how long it was for what the plot in the movie itself takes. It doesn't need to be that long, but hey. Last but not least is the Oscars. The Oscars had a huge night. I do want to start this off by saying shout out to all the people who won. Shout out to all the black people who were nominated and won. Shout out to all the black people who were nominated and lost. Your work does not go unnoticed. You are a creative. You are a beautiful creative. We appreciate you in your creations. And like I said before, it doesn't go unnoticed. Your work meets the people where they're supposed to meet them at, and at any time, your work might be appreciated in the way that you've always wanted it to be appreciated. So, thank you for being a creative and creating. I do want to say that, and I appreciate all black people who create. Let's get into these wins, though. My personal favorite wins of the night were anything Sinners won. Anything Sinners won, I was happy. When Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor, I ain't gonna lie, definitely shed some tears. Ain't gonna lie, it's crazy to say that like out loud, but I definitely shed a couple tears because somebody get something that they've worked for so long, and they're black, and they're a man, and they've had all this shit talked about them, pressed against them, pushed against them. When you see them finally get what they have been working for so long, it's beautiful. When you see the pre-disappointment on their face get knocked over by the I can't believe I just won mindset, it's amazing. I watched Michael B. Jordan smirk and hold his mother's hand as if he was about to lose. And when that man won, his face showed something that I've seen too many black people do over and over and over again. His face went from the smirk of congratulations to the winner, I lost, to I can't believe I just won. It reminds me of when Beyonce won Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter. No, not even Album of the Year. When she won Country Album, Best Country Album for Cowboy Carter, and she was just sitting there swaying, and then they said her name, and she looked like, wait, what? It kind of reminded me of that, but on a more emotional standpoint, just because He truly believed that he was going to lose. And because this award season has been so controversial for sinners with being called a nigger by a man with Tourette's, apparently John Davidson, whatever his name is, um, to just the different articles from Variety talking about how Sinners is bombing at the box office, but not talking about other movies that bombed or performed underwhelming at the box office. Cough, cough, one battle after another to talk about just how Sinners itself has been treated as a less than movie by publications and different outlets, but it's appreciated by the people who do the art itself. When Michael B. Jordan won, the whole room applauded. When Ryan Coogler won for Best Original Screenplay, the whole room applauded. When Ludwig won, the whole room applauded. When the woman who does the cinematography for it, when she won, the whole room applauded. That's how you know that this movie is respected amongst the people who are doing this shit and have done this shit for years. That's how you know this movie is a top tier movie. And it deserved everything that it gets. All the accolades that it gets, it deserved it. So, special shout out to Sinners and all of the winners. I do want to take a quick second to acknowledge Wunmi Mosaku and Delroy Lindo. They both lost their nominations, but nonetheless, amazing actors. Amazing performances in Sinners, amazing actors, beautiful people with great hearts, and well, I don't know about their hearts, can't say that. Beautiful people with great acting skills who deserve to be appreciated. So, if the Academy never gives Delroy Lindo his flowers, I want him to know and or feel that his flowers were always given to him by the black community. With that being said, shout out to Sinners for their wins and shout out to them for their losses. Another movie that I was kind of happy won something was Weapons. I'm glad Weapons didn't win too much. Kind of mad Weapons won over Sinners for Best Supporting Actress, but unfortunately, I do think that Amy Madigan deserved that. I do think that she deserved that. And I'm going to say that because she played a great role when it comes to the bad guy. Weapons had to have a bad guy. She was the bad guy. But she was so mysterious and manipulative and controlling as a old, decrepit witch woman. She literally terrified a whole town. And to some people, that might not be enough. But that's what acting is supposed to do though. The character itself terrorized the whole town, but the actor had to bring that character to life. And she brought that character to life, whether y'all like it or not. Nobody, anybody that came in her vicinity was on borrowed time. And nobody that came in her vicinity was ever the same. That's that's crazy, y'all. That's crazy. So I'm not mad that Amy Madigan won over Wunmi Mosaku, but I do think that Wunmi should have won something. Maybe Amy should have won something else in a different category, and Wunmi should have won Best Supporting Actress because she played the shit out of Annie. I appreciate Weapons winning, but should have won over Sinners. I don't know. Frankenstein won some stuff too. If you can't tell, I love horror movies and I love how horror movies have been appreciated this award season, getting 8 awards. That's crazy to me. Horror movies weren't even considered for so long. And one of the things that made me the proudest about this year's is the fact that it's horror movies and one of the movies, Sinners, was directed by a black person. Written, directed, created by a black person. Someone from Oakland, California, which is considered a ghetto. So sometimes I see myself in Ryan Coogler and it motivates me. And I respect Ryan Coogler so much. So much I respect Ryan Coogler because he did what most people feel like couldn't be done. especially as someone growing up in the hood per se, because he was a football player, but I don't think he ever saw football being his way out. Or even if he did and decided to, with a career change, nonetheless, he still did it. You know what I mean? I have a lot of respect for Ryan Coogler. I honestly, truly, I'm gonna meet Ryan Coogler one day. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna meet Ryan Coogler one day, and I'm gonna thank him and Michael B. Jordan, and Chadwick Boseman, and Delroy Lindo, and Denzel Washington, and Samuel L. Jackson, and Will Smith. I'm gonna thank all these men one day in person, and I'm gonna work with them. I'm saying it now. But yeah, Ryan Coogler as a creative has inspired so many different people. And I love when people get inspired. And I love how horror is being appreciated and sort of how it was spearheaded by a black man. Last but not least, the last thing that I want to talk about is same topic. It's about the Oscars, but it's not about movies. It's about Miles Catan. Miles Catan and the I Lied to You segment at the Centers was amazing. It was essentially a reenactment of the juke joint dance scene that happened when he sang I Lied to You. It was basically that as a reenactment, but the difference this time was you had people who were prominent in black culture doing it. You had Misty Copeland up there. You had I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't know their names, but oh, you had Jean Baptiste up there. You had Misty Copeland up there. I can tell you that. And then you just had different people up there who you know were like prominent black people. Like the woman who played the guitar with him up there on the stage. Just different people who you know were asked to do this because they were respected by the people who were planning this. And I think that that performance was the perfect performance to, I'm not going to say in the Sinners era, but it was the perfect performance to kind of wrap up what Sinners was supposed to be. Because when he hit that last note and took it up there, it brought me back to the movie where it crossed over to Remick and them being outside of the juke joint. And I say that because I feel like Sinners allow people to come into our culture to an extent and see how creative a creative can get about our culture. Because vampires have always been part of black culture. Merging vampires and the Jim Crow, that with the old times and history and black history and our down south culture and where our heritage is, merging those two together was something that only people who are black would truly feel and understand. So I feel like Miles Catan performing I Lied to You was to close out the sinners for everybody else and and to move them on the outside again. To kind of put them back on the outside again. Put them back where they're supposed to be. Put them where Remick is in the movie, outside the juke joint. So it's kind of like a nod to the idea that y'all can't sit with us all the time, or y'all can only sit with us when we ask you to and when we invite you in, not when you want to. So I feel like him performing that was closing the door essentially to the faces of the people who don't really understand sinners anymore. So I respect that. And I want to say thank you, Miles Catan, for doing that. All in all, Oscar seasons was a dub for me. Might be some L's across the board for everybody else, but it's a dub for me and Melanated March. All right, this has been another episode of Rod Watched It. I hope that y'all enjoyed yourself as much as I enjoyed talking to y'all. I don't know how long this episode technically is, but I feel like it's a long one. And honestly, truly, y'all really deserve it because I have not a whole month without episodes is crazy. I literally didn't do any episodes in March. So hopefully I'm gonna fall back into it and I'm gonna stick to it for real this time. So it's not even gonna be a conversation. It's just gonna happen. So with that being said, thank y'all for rocking with me. I do have a couple more shows and movies that I'm gonna talk about the next episode. So please keep up with me as much as I keep up with it. Also, please send me stuff to watch because I'm always down to watch stuff. My best friend actually just gave me a show to watch, and it's, I believe, 8 episodes, 30 minutes. So that's like a day's worth of TV for me. So I'm going to knock that out, and we'll be talking about that next week. So thank y'all for stopping by. I totally appreciate y'all for rocking with your boy. Peace all over the world, but especially peace in the Middle East. And peace for black people. Y'all know we can't forget that. But love y'all. Peace.